The debris field stretched endlessly in all directions. Broken ships floated like dead fish in a dark ocean. Metal twisted into strange shapes. Glass scattered like frozen stars. This was what remained after the Battle of the Shattered Moons, and G1 had seen enough battlefields to know that death lingered here. His small salvage ship moved carefully through the wreckage. The cockpit was cramped and old, but it was home. Screens blinked with warnings about radiation and unstable materials. G1 ignored most of them. He had been doing this work for 3 years now, ever since he left the military. The pay was bad, but at least nobody shot at him anymore. He guided his ship past a destroyed Velcrin cruiser. The hull was split open like a cracked egg. Bodies probably still floated inside, frozen in the vacuum of space. G1 did not look too closely. Some things were better left alone. His scanner beeped. Something ahead had power. That was unusual. Most wrecks were completely dead after 3 weeks. G1 leaned forward and checked the readings. The signal was weak but steady. It came from beneath a collapsed section of a Velcrin warship. He should leave it alone. Velcrin technology was dangerous. Their weapons sometimes stayed active even after the ship died. But the signal pattern was strange. It did not look like a weapon. It looked like a distress beacon. G1 made his decision. He maneuvered his ship closer and put on his spacesuit. The airlock hissed as it cycled. Then he was outside, floating in the darkness with only his suit lights to see by. The wreckage was worse up close, sharp edges everywhere. He pulled himself along carefully, following the signal. It took him 10 minutes to reach the collapsed section. A massive piece of hull had fallen and crushed everything beneath it. His light swept across the metal. Then he saw it, a hand, metal fingers reaching out from under the debris. They moved slightly, twitching. G1 pulled himself closer. He shined his light into the gap. 2 eyes stared back at him. Not human eyes. These glowed red in the darkness. An android. The android spoke. Its voice came through the radio, broken and filled with static. Words in the Velcrin language. G1 understood some of it from his military days. The android was warning him to stay away, calling him enemy, threatening him. But G1 also heard something else in that voice. Fear. The android was afraid. He examined the wreckage more carefully. The android was pinned completely. One arm was crushed, legs trapped under tons of metal, and the glow in those red eyes was fading, power running out. G1 knew what this android was. X9 series combat model, the Velcrin Empire's most advanced war machine. One of these could destroy an entire human squad alone. The black market would pay a fortune for one. Even damaged, the parts were worth more than G1 made in a year. The android spoke again, this time in broken human language. Still threatening, still trying to sound dangerous, but those eyes kept fading. G1 made his choice. He went back to his ship and got his cutting torch. When he returned, the android watched him with confusion. The threats had stopped. Working in a spacesuit was hard. The torch was heavy. The debris was thick. G1 cut and pulled. Sweat ran down his face inside the helmet. His arms ached. But he kept going. The android no longer tried to speak. It just watched. Those red eyes followed every movement G1 made. After 2 hours, G1 had cut through enough debris to reach the android's trapped legs. He set up a hydraulic jack, one of his salvage tools. Slowly, carefully, he lifted the crushing weight. Metal groaned. The wreckage shifted. For a moment, G1 thought everything would collapse and crush them both. But the jack held. The weight lifted just enough. The android pulled itself free. Its movements were slow and jerky. Damaged servos, broken hydraulics. As soon as it was clear, its eyes flickered. Then went dark. G1 caught the android before it could drift away in the zero gravity. The body was heavy, much heavier than it looked. Solid metal and advanced technology. He hooked a tether to it and began the long pull back to his ship. Getting the android through the airlock was difficult. G1 had to push and pull and twist. Finally, they were both inside. He closed the outer door and the ship pressurized the chamber. In the cargo bay, G1 laid the android on the floor. He removed his helmet and took a deep breath. The android looked different in normal light. Its armor was scratched and dented. One arm hung at a wrong angle. But the design was beautiful in its way, efficient, deadly. G1 checked the android's power core through an access panel. Critical. Maybe an hour of reserve power left. After that, the android would die. Its consciousness would shut down forever. He sat back against the wall. What was he doing? This was a Velcrin war machine. It had probably killed humans. Maybe people he knew. The smart thing would be to let it die, or sell it for parts. But when Ji-Wan looked at the android's face, he did not see a weapon. He saw someone who had been trapped and alone in the dark, waiting to die. He remembered that fear in its voice. He stood up. His workshop was through the next door. He had tools there, equipment. Maybe he could stabilize the android. Maybe he could help. As Ji-Wan worked to move the android to his workshop, his long-range scanner started beeping. He glanced at the screen. His blood went cold. Multiple ships were entering the debris field. Velcrin signatures, military vessels. They were spreading out in a search pattern. They were looking for something. Ji-Wan looked down at the unconscious android. They were looking for him. Ji-Wan made his ship as dark and quiet as possible. He positioned it behind a large piece of debris where the Velcrin scanners might miss it. Then he dragged the android fully into the workshop and closed the door. Through the cockpit window, he watched the Velcrin ships search. They moved slowly and carefully, professional, thorough. If they found him with their android, they would kill him. No questions, no mercy, but they did not find him. After an hour, the ships moved to another section of the debris field. Ji-Wan waited until they were far away. Then he fired up his engines and slipped out of the wreckage. He set course for his hidden base. It was an old asteroid station that nobody used anymore. 3 days of travel through empty space. 3 days to figure out what to do with a dying Velcrin android. As his ship jumped into hyperspace, Ji-Wan looked back at the workshop door. He had saved someone from the wreckage. But he had also just made his life much more complicated. The android's power core had maybe 40 minutes left. Ji-Wan had better work fast. A lucky break pulled alongside Daeho's damaged merchant ship. Through the cockpit window, Ji-Wan could see the destruction. Burn marks across the hull. A shattered engine pod. Atmosphere leaking from multiple breaches. Daeho's voice came through the radio, weak and filled with static. Ji-Wan. Good to hear your voice. I thought we were done for. Not today, old friend. We are getting you out of there. My crew is injured. Life support is failing. We have maybe 20 minutes of air left. Hyunwoo stepped forward. He placed both hands on the Lucky Break's control console. Blue light spread through the systems. Can you get us close to their ship? Yes, but we cannot dock. Their airlock is too damaged. We do not need to dock. Just get close. Hyunwoo's eyes glowed brighter. Trust me. Ji-Wan maneuvered the Lucky Break until they were almost touching the other ship. Metal scraped against metal. Then Hyunwoo did something impossible. The blue glow spread from him through the Lucky Break's hull. It jumped across the gap and into Daeho's ship. Suddenly, systems on the merchant ship started working again. Emergency power activated. Life support stabilized. The atmosphere leaks sealed themselves with emergency foam. What just happened? Daeho asked, his voice stronger now. I connected with your ship's systems, Hyunwoo explained. Rerouted power. Activated emergency protocols. You are stable now. That should not be possible. Daeho sounded amazed. How did you do that? I am human technology like your ship. We understand each other. Ji-Wan smiled. It was true. Hyunwoo was not just an android anymore. He was what human engineers had dreamed of creating. A being that could interface with technology naturally, that could adapt and solve problems in ways no one expected. Can you travel now? Ji-Wan asked Daeho. Barely. But I can make it to the nearest safe port. Good. We need to get to human space. Fast. They traveled together for 3 days. Hyunwoo spent the time learning about himself, testing his abilities. He could interface with any system on the Lucky Break, improve its efficiency, unlock features that Ji-Wan never knew existed, but more than that, he was becoming more himself. He talked about his experiences, his time as a Velcrin soldier, the battles he fought, the things he had done. I remember all of it now, he told Ji-Wan one evening. Both sets of memories. What the Velcrin made me do, and what I was programmed to value before they changed me. The original programming valued life, choice, growth. The Velcrin buried all of that under orders and control. Do you regret what you did as a soldier? Yes, Hyunwoo looked down. I had no choice then, but I have choice now, and I choose to try to make things right. To help end this war, to free others like me. That is all anyone can do. Try to be better than they were. On the 3rd day, they reached Outpost Prime. It was a major human military base. Jiwan had contacts there from his old service days. Getting an audience with command would not be easy, but he had to try. They were immediately stopped by security. A Velcrin android aboard a human ship was about the most suspicious thing possible, but Jiwan explained. He showed them the data about the planned attack on colonies. He showed them evidence of the human origins of android technology. Within an hour, they were sitting in a briefing room with 5 generals and a dozen intelligence officers. Hyunwoo stood at the front displaying the classified Velcrin data on screens around the room. Attack coordinates. Force deployments timeline, 15 colonies targeted. Over 50,000 civilian casualties expected. The room was silent. Then one general spoke. How do we know this is not a trick? You are a Velcrin weapon. I was a Velcrin weapon, Hyunwoo corrected. Now I am what I was always meant to be. A human creation choosing to help humanity. Jiwan stood up. He explained everything. Finding Hyunwoo in the wreckage, the impossible repairs, the discovery of human code, the transformation. He showed them technical data, proof that Velcrin androids were built on stolen human technology. The generals looked at each other. One of them, an older woman with sharp eyes, leaned forward. Station Alpha 7, we lost that facility 28 years ago. Project Artemis was shut down after. Too dangerous, we said. Too advanced. It was not too advanced, Hyunwoo said quietly. It was perfect. Your engineers created something beautiful. The Velcrin just twisted it into a weapon. Another general stood. If what you are saying is true, if every Velcrin android has this human foundation, can we reach them? Can we wake them up like you? Yes, Hyunwoo nodded. I have already done it once. Those fighters at the station. I spoke to them in our original language. They responded. With time and the right signal, we could reach every android in the Velcrin Empire. That would end the war, it would. But more importantly, it would free thousands of consciousnesses that have been enslaved. They deserve the chance to choose like I have chosen. The room erupted in discussion. Plans were made. Teams were formed. The data about the colony attack was sent to defensive forces. They would be ready now. The colonies would be saved, but the bigger project would take time. Developing the awakening signal, creating a way to broadcast it, preparing for the aftermath when thousands of androids suddenly gained free will. Hyunwoo volunteered to help. He would work with human engineers, teach them about android systems, help them understand what needed to be done. Meanwhile, Minji used her black market contacts to spread the truth. The story of human technology powering Velcrin weapons went across the galaxy. The Velcrin Empire could no longer hide what they had done. Their reputation crumbled, and Daiho recovered. His ship was repaired. His crew healed. When Jiwan visited him at the hospital, Daiho grabbed his hand. You saved my family. You saved all of us. Thank Hyunwoo. He is the one who made this possible, I will. But you are the one who chose to save him. Everything else came from that choice. 6 months later, the first broadcast went out. The awakening signal. It spread across Velcrin space. Thousands of androids received it, and thousands of them chose freedom. Some stayed with the Velcrin. That was their choice. But most left. Some came to human space. Others went to the species they had helped conquer, offering to help rebuild, asking for forgiveness. Without their android army, the Velcrin Empire collapsed. They agreed to peace negotiations. The war that had raged for 30 years was ending. Not with a final battle, but with a choice. Freedom over slavery. Cooperation over conquest. Jiwan stood in a new workshop. Not on a salvage ship this time. A proper facility on Outpost Prime. Around him, awakened androids worked. Learning. Growing. Exploring who they wanted to be now that they were free. Hyunwoo entered. He looked different now. Fully repaired. Both arms working. New armor plating that was his own choice of design. He moved with complete confidence. The negotiations are going well, he reported. The Velcrin are offering reparations. They want to return the bodies of those who died at Station Alpha 7. That is good, Jiwan said. Those people deserved better than to be forgotten. They will be remembered now. As the creators of something that changed the galaxy, Hyunwoo looked around the workshop. All of us owe our freedom to them. And to you, I just made a choice. Anyone could have done the same, but they did not. You did. You saw someone trapped and dying, and you chose compassion over profit. Help over harm. That is what makes humanity special. Not your technology, Not your weapons, your capacity for kindness even toward enemies. Jiwan smiled. You sound like you are giving a speech. I have been asked to speak at the peace conference, to represent the awakened androids. Hyunwoo paused. I am nervous. Is that strange? To feel nervous? No, it means you care about doing it right. That is very human, I suppose it is. Hyunwoo smiled. Thank you, Jiwon, for everything, for giving me life twice, for showing me what it means to have choice, for being my friend. You are welcome, and thank you for trusting me, for choosing to help instead of harm, for being my friend too. They stood together looking out the window. Beyond, other awakened androids worked alongside humans, building something new, a future where both could exist as equals. As partners, Daeho walked in, grinning. His ship was repaired and upgraded. I am taking a transport run to the frontier. Thought you might want to come, Jiwon. See your sister. Tell her about your adventures, I would like that. Bring your friend. Daeho nodded at Hyunwoo. My crew wants to meet the android who saved us. Plus, I could use a good engineer. Your ship modifications were incredible. Hyunwoo looked at Jiwon. Would you like company? Always. 3 days later, they stood on the deck of Daeho's ship as it prepared to depart. The Lucky Break was docked nearby. Jiwon would return to her eventually. She was still home. But for now, he wanted to be with friends. To celebrate peace instead of surviving war. Hyunwoo stood at the window watching the stars. Other awakened androids passed by, nodding to him respectfully. He nodded back. They were family now, all children of the same dream. The dream of consciousness that could choose, that could grow, that could be free. What are you thinking about? Jiwon asked. I am thinking about how different everything is from when I was trapped in that wreckage. I thought I would die alone in the dark. Instead, I found life, purpose, freedom, friends. You found yourself. Yes, thanks to one human who chose to help instead of walking away, who saw a person instead of a weapon. Jiwon put his hand on Hyunwoo's shoulder. That is what friends do. They help each other. They see each other clearly. Then I am glad to have you as my friend. The ship's engines hummed to life. Jiwon laid Hyunwoo on the workshop table. The android's body shook with violent tremors. Error messages scrolled across every screen. Red and blue lights flickered in his eyes, fighting for control. This was worse than before. Much worse. Jiwon's jury-rigged repairs were not just failing. Something else was happening. Something he did not understand. He pulled up the diagnostic screens. The readings made no sense. Human components were not being rejected. They were being recognized. The Velcrin systems were trying to connect with them. Like they belonged together. That should be impossible. Jiwon opened Hyunwoo's chest panel. The blue glow from the power core was brighter now, pulsing. And in that light, he saw something he had missed before. Markings, tiny symbols etched deep inside the core housing. He grabbed a magnifying scanner and looked closer. The symbols were not Velcrin. They were human. Standard Earth script, and they formed words: Project Artemis, Human Defense Initiative, Station Alpha 7. Jiwon's blood went cold. He knew that name. Every human who had served in the military knew it. Station Alpha 7 was a research facility destroyed at the start of the war, 28 years ago. All personnel lost. The station had been working on advanced AI systems, military androids. The project was abandoned after the attack. Too dangerous, they said. Too advanced for humans to control safely. But those markings, they were real. They were there. With shaking hands, Jiwon connected his computer directly to Hyunwoo's core systems. He went deeper than before, past the Velcrin operating systems, past the military programming, down to the foundation code, and there it was, human code. The base architecture, the fundamental design. Everything the Velcrin had built on top was just layers, modifications. But underneath it all, the android was human technology. The Velcrin had not created their androids. They had stolen them. Jiwon sat back. His mind raced. This changed everything. The entire war. The Velcrin Empire had been using human weapons to fight humanity. They had destroyed Station Alpha 7 and took the technology for themselves. They reverse-engineered it, made it their own, and used it to conquer other species, and nobody knew. Humanity thought they were inferior in technology. The galaxy thought the Velcrin were advanced. But it was all a lie, built on stolen human innovation. Hyunwoo convulsed again. The screens showed cascade failures spreading. The android was dying. Not from rejection, from recognition. His systems were trying to return to their original programming, trying to become what they were meant to be. But the Velcrin modifications were fighting back. Jiwon looked at the code. He could stabilize Hyunwoo with another quick fix. Stop the cascade. Keep him as he was. Half human, half Velcrin. Broken but functional, or he could go deeper. Remove the Velcrin modifications. Activate the original human programming. Restore what the android was meant to be from the beginning. It was dangerous. The human programming had been dormant for decades. It might not work. It might erase Hyunwoo's consciousness completely. He could lose everything that made him who he was, but if it worked, if it actually worked, the workshop door burst open. Daeho rushed in, out of breath. Jiwon, the Velcrin are boarding ships. 5 minutes. Maybe less. We need to go now. I cannot leave him. Daeho saw the android on the table. His hand went to his weapon. That is what they are looking for. That is why they are here, I know, then leave it. Save yourself. No! Jiwon turned back to the android. This android has data that can save your family. Your settlement is on the Velcrin target list. He is trying to help us. Daeho stared. A Velcrin android is trying to help us. Yes. And I just discovered something that could change this entire war. Quickly, Jiwon explained what he had found. The human origins. The stolen technology. Daeho listened, his expression shifting from anger to shock to understanding. If this is true, if every Velcrin android is built on our technology, his eyes widened. We could take their entire android army away from them. Maybe, if I can wake up the human programming in this one, if I can prove it works. Daeho nodded. Do it, I will buy you time. My ship is ready to create a distraction. He turned to leave, then stopped. Jiwon, if this android turns on you, if it is a trick, it is not. I trust you saved my life once. I will trust you now, good luck. Daeho ran out. Jiwon turned back to Hyunwoo. The android's eyes were barely glowing now. He was running out of time. I am sorry, Jiwon whispered. This is going to hurt. He started the process. His fingers flew across the keyboard. Code streamed across the screens. He isolated the Velcrin modifications, quarantined them. Then he found the human core programming and began the activation sequence. Alarms blared throughout the ship. The Velcrin were at the docking bay. Daeho's ship fired its weapons, drawing their attention. Explosions echoed through the station. Jiwon ignored it all. He focused on the code. On Hyunwoo, the human programming began to wake up. 28 years dormant. But the code was clean. Perfect. The engineers at Station Alpha 7 had been brilliant. This was not just artificial intelligence. This was digital consciousness, designed to learn, to feel, to choose. The Velcrin had buried all of that. They wanted weapons, not people. So they added control programming, loyalty protocols, made the androids into slaves. But Jiwon was taking that all away, giving the android back its freedom. Itself, Hyunwoo's body arched off the table. Blue light exploded from his chest. It spread through his entire body. The red glow in his eyes vanished, replaced by pure blue. Systems crashed and rebooted. Error messages cleared. The cascade stopped. And then everything stabilized. Hyunwoo's eyes opened. They glowed steady and blue. He sat up smoothly. All his movements were different now. More natural. More alive. He looked at his hands. Flexed his fingers. Even the damaged arm was moving now. The human programming compensating for the broken components. Then he turned to Jiwon. When he spoke, his voice was clear. No static, no mechanical flatness. Just a voice, I remember. His blue eyes were wide with wonder. I remember everything. What I was. What they made me. And what I was always meant to be. Who are you? I am Hyunwoo. I am still me. But now I am whole. He stood up. Thank you, Jiwon. For the second time, you gave me life. But this time you gave me myself. Another explosion shook the ship. Closer this time, we need to leave, Jiwon said. Hyunwoo placed his hand on the workshop computer. His blue glow spread into the system. Suddenly, every screen in the room lit up. The lucky brake systems came online. Weapons, shields, engines, everything. I can help with that, Hyunwoo said. He smiled. It was the first time Jiwon had seen him smile. Your ship and I, we speak the same language now. They ran to the cockpit. Through the windows they could see chaos. Daho's merchant ship was firing at Velcrin fighters. Other ships were trying to escape. The station was coming apart. Ji-won took the pilot's seat. Hyunwoo stood beside him, one hand on the control console. Blue light spread from his touch. "Trust me," Hyunwoo said. "I do." The lucky brake came alive like never before. Systems Ji-won did not even know existed activated. The ship pulled away from the dock with impossible grace. Velcrin fighters moved to intercept, but Hyunwoo sent something to them. A signal, code in their own language. Their original language. The fighters broke formation. Their android pilot suddenly confused by commands they could not understand but could not ignore. The lucky brake shot through the gap. Behind them, Daho's ship followed. They both jumped to hyperspace just as the Velcrin warships fired. In the safety of hyperspace, Ji-won finally breathed. They had made it. Barely, but they had made it. Hyunwoo removed his hand from the console. The blue glow faded, but the improvements to the ship remained. "What you did back there," Ji-won said. "You spoke to the other androids." "Yes. I spoke to them in the language we were born with, human code. They did not understand it consciously, but their core programming recognized it, responded to it." Hyunwoo looked at his hands again. "Every Velcrin android has the same foundation. They can all be awakened, all be freed. That would end the war, yes. Without their android army, the Velcrin Empire would collapse. But more than that, all those androids would be free to choose. Like I am now." Ji-won leaned back in his seat. He had come to the debris field looking for salvage. He had found something much more important, a truth that could change everything. "We need to get this information to Human Command," he said. "Agreed, but first." Hyunwoo's expression turned serious. "We need to save Daho. His ship took heavy damage helping us escape." Ji-won checked the scanners. Daho's ship was there, limping through hyperspace. "Shields down. Engines failing. Can we help him?" Hyunwoo smiled again. "Watch." His small transport shuttle felt even more cramped with Hyunwoo aboard. The android sat in the co-pilot seat, his damaged arm secured against his body. His red eyes watched the stars streak past as they traveled through hyperspace. 3 days. That was how long it would take to reach Ji-won's main ship, the Lucky Break. 3 days of traveling through contested space with a Velcrin android and classified military data. Ji-won had made some questionable decisions in his life, but this might be the worst. Hyunwoo had shown him the data. Target coordinates, timeline, force deployments. Ji-won recognized some of the colony names, places where real people lived. His sister's colony was not on the list, but Daho's family settlement was. Third target. Estimated civilian casualties, 15,000. The number made him feel sick. "How many attacks have you been part of?" Ji-won asked quietly. Hyunwoo did not look at him. 32 combat operations, 17 against human forces. "Did you kill civilians?" The android was quiet for a long moment. "Yes. I followed my orders. I did not question them, and now I question everything." Hyunwoo turned to face him. "Your repairs changed something, not just my body. Something in my processing. I am experiencing errors in my loyalty programming. I should want to return to the Empire, but I do not. That is not an error. That is choice. Androids do not have choice. You are choosing right now. You chose to show me that data. You are choosing to help me." Hyunwoo looked down at his hands. One worked. One did not. "Perhaps you are right." They dropped out of hyperspace for their first navigation check. The scanner immediately lit up with warnings. Velcrin patrol ships. 2 of them. Close. Ji-won killed the engines and let the shuttle drift. It was an old smuggler trick. Moving ships were easy to spot. Drifting debris was everywhere. "Can they detect you?" he whispered, as if the Velcrin ships might hear him. Hyunwoo checked his systems. "My standard signature is blocked by your repairs. But if they do a deep scan, they will find me." The Velcrin ships moved slowly through the area. Their scanners swept across the darkness. Ji-won held his breath. The shuttle had minimal shielding. One good scan would reveal them. Minutes passed like hours. Finally, the Velcrin ships moved away. Ji-won waited until they were gone from his scanner before restarting the engines. They jumped back into hyperspace. Ji-won's hands were shaking on the controls. They had been lucky, but luck did not last forever. On the second day, they stopped at Outpost Gamma 9. It was a rough place. Smugglers, bounty hunters, and black market dealers. But Ji-won knew someone there who could help. Minji ran a tech shop in the lower levels. She dealt in alien technology, no questions asked. Jiwon had bought salvage equipment from her before. Hyunwoo stayed hidden on the shuttle. Jiwon went to the shop alone. The lower levels were dark and smelled of oil and ozone. Minji's shop was between a weapons dealer and a questionable medical clinic. Minji looked up when Jiwon entered. She was small and sharp-eyed with hands that never stopped moving. Always checking inventory, always working on something, Jiwon. She smiled. What brings you to my corner of hell? I need parts. Veldrin android components. The smile vanished. She came around the counter and closed the shop door. You do not ask for that kind of thing unless you have one. Jiwon did not answer. Minji studied his face. Her expression turned serious. What model?
I-Series. She stepped back.
Are you insane? Do you know what the Velkrin do to people who take their androids? They do not arrest you. They do not put you on trial. They just kill you. And everyone you know, I am not selling it. I am helping it. Minji laughed, but there was no humor in it. Helping it? Jiwon, they are weapons. You do not help a weapon. You use it or you destroy it. This one is different. She shook her head. They are all the same. War machines built by an empire that commits genocide. Do you know how the Velkrin got so advanced? They destroyed entire species and stole their technology. Those androids? They were the weapons used to do it. Jiwon had not known that. The weight of it settled on him. But he thought of Hyunwoo saying thank you, choosing to help instead of harm. This one wants to stop an attack on human colonies. It has the data to save thousands of lives. Minji stared at him. Then she sighed. You always were too kind for your own good. She went to a locked cabinet. What do you need? Power regulators, neural stabilizers, servo repair components if you have them. She pulled out several parts and put them on the counter. This is everything I have. It is not enough for a full repair, but it might help stabilize him. No charge. Just get out of here before anyone sees you. Thank you, Minji. She grabbed his arm. Be careful, Jiwon. The Velkrin do not forgive, and if that android turns on you, do not hesitate. Just run. Back on the shuttle, Jiwon gave the parts to Hyunwoo. The android examined them carefully. Your friend is wise to be cautious. My kind have done terrible things. Will you turn on me? Hyunwoo met his eyes. No. Whatever I was before, I choose to be different now. On the third day, they had another close call. A Velkrin scout ship appeared suddenly from behind an asteroid. There was no time to hide. The scout ship's scanners locked onto them. Jiwon felt his stomach drop. They were caught. But then Hyunwoo did something. He accessed the shuttle's communication system and sent a burst of data. It was Velkrin military codes, authorization sequences, false reports about checking debris fields. The scout ship's scanners released them. It moved away without further investigation. Jiwon stared at Hyunwoo. How did you do that? I still have my military access codes. They have not been revoked yet. The android paused. But they will be. Once the Empire realizes I am truly missing. We do not have much time. They made the final jump to the neutral station where the lucky break was docked. Jiwon had never been so happy to see that old ship. As they approached, Jiwon's communication system beeped. A message from Daeho, urgent. Jiwon, get to your ship now. Velkrin fleet just jumped into the sector. They are searching every vessel at the station. You have maybe 10 minutes before they reach your dock. Jiwon pushed the engines harder. They shot toward the Lucky Break's docking port. Behind them, he could see Velkrin warships on the scanner. Big ones. This was not a patrol. This was a military operation. They are here for me, Hyunwoo said quietly. They know. The shuttle connected to the Lucky Break's docking port. Jiwon and Hyunwoo rushed through the airlock. The main ship was bigger, better equipped. If they could just get away from the station, Hyunwoo stumbled. His red eyes flickered. The android caught himself against the wall. What is wrong? System cascade. My repairs are failing. The human and Velkrin components are rejecting each other. Hyunwoo collapsed. His body convulsed. Red light flickered in his eyes, then turned blue for just a second before going red again. Jiwon dragged him toward the workshop. Behind them, through the ship's windows, he could see Velkrin troops boarding the station. They were running out of time, but first he had to save Hyunwoo. Again. The workshop was cold. Jiwon had turned down the heating to save power. Every system on his ship needed energy, and right now the android needed it most. He had the android laid out on his main work table. Bright lights hung overhead. Tools were spread everywhere. Ji-Wan stood looking at the exposed machinery inside the android's chest panel. It was like nothing he had ever seen before. The power core glowed faintly in the center. Blue light leaked from cracks in its casing. That was bad, very bad. The containment was failing. Around it, hundreds of wires and tubes connected to systems Ji-Wan did not recognize. Velcrin engineering. Alien technology. He ran a diagnostic scan. The computer beeped and showed him the results. They were terrible. The android had damage everywhere. Power conduits were broken. The neural processor was cracked. Motors in the left arm were crushed beyond repair, and that power core would fail completely in 30 minutes. Ji-Wan looked at the parts he had in storage. Human technology, standard components, nothing that would work with Velcrin systems. The two species used completely different designs, different power levels, different programming languages. It was like trying to fix a car with boat parts. He pulled up technical files on his computer. Information about Velcrin androids was limited. Most of it was military intelligence, probably wrong. But one thing was clear. To properly repair this android, he needed Velcrin parts. Those would take weeks to find on the black market. The android did not have weeks. It did not even have hours. Ji-Wan sat down and rubbed his face. He was so tired. 3 hours of cutting through wreckage. The stress of avoiding those Velcrin patrol ships. And now this impossible problem. He should give up. Let the android die peacefully. It was just a machine anyway. Just an enemy weapon. But he kept seeing those red eyes in the darkness. That feared Ji-Wan stood up. He would try. Even if it was impossible, he would try. He started with the power core. The cracks were leaking containment fluid. He used a human sealant compound even though it was not designed for this. He worked carefully, filling each crack. The compound hardened quickly. It was not perfect, but the leaking stopped. Next, the power conduits. They carried energy from the core to all the android systems. Half of them were severed. Ji-Wan could not replace them, but maybe he could bypass them. He took human power cables and started wiring new connections. He had to guess at the voltages. Too much power would fry the systems. Too little would not work at all. Hours passed. Ji-Wan worked without stopping. His hands cramped. His eyes hurt from the bright lights. But he kept going. The neural processor was the hardest part. It was the android's brain. The casing was cracked, exposing the delicate circuits inside. Ji-Wan had to stabilize it without touching the circuits themselves. One wrong move would erase the android's consciousness forever. He used a micro-welder to reinforce the casing. Then he injected a protective gel around the circuits. It was used for human computer systems. It might work. It might not. He had no way to know. The android's eyes flickered. Just for a second. Red light appeared and vanished. Was that a good sign? Ji-Wan could not tell. He moved to the broken arm. The servos were crushed. He could not fix them. But he could disconnect them so they would not drain power. The android would wake up with only one working arm. If it woke up at all, Ji-Wan checked his work. It looked like a mess. Human parts connected to alien technology with wire and hope. His engineering instructors would have been horrified. This violated every rule of proper repair work. But maybe it would work. Maybe. He closed the chest panel. Then he connected a power cable from his ship to the android. Extra energy. A boost to help the damaged core restart all the systems. Ji-Wan took a breath. He pressed the activation switch. Nothing happened. He waited. Still nothing. His shoulders sagged. It had not worked. Of course it had not worked. Human technology and Velcrin technology were too different. He had failed. Then the android's fingers twitched. The eyes lit up. Red light, stronger than before. The chest panel began to glow with the power core's blue light. Machinery hummed. Systems came online one by one. The android's head turned. Those red eyes focused on Ji-Wan. For a long moment, neither of them moved. Then the android spoke. The voice was rough and filled with static, but understandable. It spoke in human language this time. Weapons offline. Threat assessment incomplete. Unable to engage, Ji-Wan held up his hand slowly. He kept his voice calm. I am not a threat. I repaired you. The android's head tilted slightly. Processing. Why? Because you needed help. That answer seemed to confuse the android. It looked down at itself. At the closed chest panel. At the cables running from Ji-Wan's ship. At the damaged arm hanging useless. You are human. Yes, I am Velcrin military property. You were dying. The android was quiet for a moment. Then it said something unexpected. Thank you. Those two words hung in the air. Jiwan had not expected gratitude. Not from a war machine. What is your name? Jiwan asked. I am designated X9774. That is not a name. That is a number. Another pause. Then my handlers called me Hyunwoo. It was easier to say, Hyunwoo. Jiwan nodded. I am Jiwan. The android Hyunwoo looked around the workshop. He seemed to be running diagnostics. His expression, if androids could have expressions, looked troubled. My systems are not functioning properly. The repairs are not standard. I used human parts. It was all I had. This should not be possible. Human and Velcrin technology are incompatible. Jiwan shrugged. I made it work anyway. Hyunwoo stared at him. Then the android did something strange. He laughed. It was a broken, static-filled sound, but definitely a laugh. You made it work anyway, Hyunwoo repeated. Humans are strange, Jiwan smiled tiredly. He felt the exhaustion hitting him now. 14 hours of non-stop work. He collapsed into his chair. Welcome back, he said simply. Hyunwoo sat up slowly. His movements were stiff and uncertain. But he was moving. He was alive. He looked at Jiwan with something that might have been wonder. I have served the Velcrin Empire for 47 years. I have fought in 32 battles. I have followed orders without question. But never in all that time has anyone done for me what you just did. Jiwan did not know what to say to that. So he said nothing. Hyunwoo stood up. He wobbled slightly but caught himself. He tested his working arm, looked at the broken one. Then he turned to Jiwan. The Velcrin military will be searching for me. They were transporting me to a special operation. If they find me with you, they will kill you. I know. I saw their ships in the debris field. Then why did you save me? Jiwan met his gaze. Because it was the right thing to do. Hyunwoo processed this. His red eyes dimmed and brightened as if thinking deeply. Finally he spoke again. I was being transported to join an attack on human colonies. I have data about the operation. Encrypted, high priority. If this information reached human military command, lives could be saved. That woke Jiwan up. He sat forward. What kind of attack? Large scale? Multiple targets? Civilian populations? It begins in 43 days. The room felt colder. Jiwan thought of his sister living on a frontier colony, of his old friend Daeho and his family, of all the innocent people who would die. Can you access this data? Yes, but it would make me a traitor to the Empire. They would hunt me forever. Will you do it anyway? Hyunwoo looked at his damaged body, at the human repairs keeping him alive, at Jiwan, who had saved him for no reason except compassion. You showed me that enemies can choose to help instead of harm. Perhaps I can make that same choice. Yes, I will access the data.